Hey guys, it's Sky from Sweetener. Today I'm just going to do a little refresher tutorial video on div coding. Now, this is just a refresher. I'm not really going over anything new. This was brought up in my Discord server today and I just wanted to do a little tutorial, or like I say, a refresher, just to go over things and explain it maybe a little bit more slowly and a bit more closely, and how easy div coding can be. What I will say, just a few tips. Number one, don't spend hours on coding. You're going to get a headache. You're going to get so frustrated. I remember when I first started coding, and this was back in 2013. Nope. Yeah, 2013, 2014, when I did my certificate in web design. I found that if I spent like 4 or 5 hours on coding, I'd throw it out, I'll just literally just be like, I'm going to throw it out the window, because it used to make me so confused, so angry, because I wasn't getting it. And I think the problem was I wasn't allowing myself to let it sink in. So I was doing like all this, and I'll go back to it and do the mock exam, and I'd be like, well, that's everything is. And I was just getting things confused. So rather than me learning anything or absorbing anything, I was just taking what I was seeing off the screen kind of thing. So I would highly recommend just spending a little bit more time, less time on it, literally a couple of hours, a day here, day there, or even just take a break. So do like 2 hours in the morning and then come back to it in the evening and see how you get on. Even now, when I'm coding layouts, I don't spend all day on a layout, especially if it's a div or I get really frustrated. I'll take a break because our brains need that time to absorb it. Second thing I will say is I use a calculator, and I'll show you why I use a calculator, because it's just so much easier than trying to work it out in your head. If you're not good at maths, that's fine. Like I say, we're using a calculator. It's going to do the work for you. It's going to make it easier. Step 3, I'm using my Prosperity, or rather Pink Peaches template, which I did give in my previous video. Again, whilst generic, the code is generic, so web design coding is HTML, C5 and CSS. It's all generic coding. The layout is mine. So if you're going to use it, please just credit me. I don't mind using it to teach yourself. I don't mind it for you to mess around it, basically just mess up as you like, until you get used to coding. But just don't claim it as your own. And I've seen quite a few people do that recently, and it just gets me so angry and so upset that people just can't respect that. Lay it out however you want. There are so many ways you can lay it. You don't have to lay it the same way. And if you do want to lay it the same way, then literally just put in a line. And I've taught this before. It's literally just the less than and more than sign with an exclamation mark in the middle and loads of dashes to put credit sweetener. That's all I'm asking. So without that further ado, we're going to start on. So the idea is that we want to work out how we're going to get a box next to this box. Ignore the background box. I'm actually going to delete that in a minute, because obviously that's just confusing. So how do we get this box next to this box? So how am I going to add another box right beside it? So in your coding, I'm actually going to delete sweet one, or sweet, because we're not going to use it. Erase that. Right. So with sweet one, this is how we're going to do it. I'm literally just going to copy that line, paste it. I'm just going to scroll this down a bit, and then we're going to change it to sweet 2. Name it whatever the bloody hell you like. I really don't mind. I use sweet sometimes because obviously sweetener. I sometimes use cake. Whatever comes into my head. Box 1, whatever. There are various different ways of naming a box. So now that I've got that box copied, I want to do a box right next to it. The exact same size, exact same length. I'm not going to make it complicated. I just want to know how I can get a box right next to it. So 2 boxes, whether it be an image and a text box or however. So what we're going to do, this is why I say calculator. So keep calculator handy, even one on your phone, or however you want to do it. What we need to do is we need to put like a margin beside it. So you want to create a little bit of a space so it's not sitting right on top and it doesn't merge. So by doing that, you either want, depending on your border size, this is important. If you've got a big border, say above a 5px, you need to add 10px, so 10 pixels on top of that. If you're making it less than 5, so in my case a 2 pixels, you can add 5. So because of that, I'm then going to add 5. So I'm just going to get my notepad up just to make this easier for you. So margin is going to be, in this case we're not actually doing a margin per se, it was just a margin between the boxes. Actually, space between boxes. So in our case we're going to make that 5 because our border is less than a 5px. If over 5px, recommend at least 10 pixels, depending. why I'm saying that is because you want to play around with it. I found if it's anything less than 5, I would stay with 5. If it's anything over 5, I need to at least a 10 because it gives me the space in between, whether this is an 8px border or a 6px border or whatever. Then what you want to take into consideration is the width. So in this case, our width is 330. Oh, it's 175. So in this case, we're then going to add the width of the box, which in our case, oops, is 175 pixels. Then, this is where it gets a little bit complicated, I think. You then need to add where the positioning of the box is. So in this case, because we're going right next to it, I'm doing all these hand gestures, you can't even see me. Because this box is right next to it, or we're going to put a box right next to it, all we're adding on is a left, okay? All we're adding is to the left comment, essentially. We're not going to add to the top because we don't want it underneath. We just want it next to it. So in this case, we're literally just adding to the minus 290. So the position of the box left if going beside that box. I hope that makes sense. Or next to it. So in this case, we're going minus 290 pixels. Then we can add our equal sign. So in this case, and we're going to trust the calculator up, because I've copied this, obviously it doesn't make sense, but you get what I mean. But basically, what we want then, for this is just for the left position, okay? This is just for the left. This is what this calculation's for. So we're going to add 5, then we're going to add 175 for the width, and then the position of the box, which is 290, and I've done this the wrong way around, but never mind, which makes that 470, okay? Ignore what I've just said because that's all irrelevant, because it's negative. So 290, negative 290, and I've done this back to front and I've realised that, and I do apologise, so I'm going to go over this again in a minute with you. We're going to add our 5px, which is the border, or the space between the boxes. Then we're going to add our width. That makes it 100 minus 110. So what we have to do is change my left to a minus 110. And then when we put in div class suite 2, I'm sorry, my fingers are really cramping at the moment, and we click save, my box 2 is going to be right next to it. As you can see, my line in the middle here, that's why I said you need to go a little bit further if it's bigger. So in our case, the 5px is just right. We could make that bigger, we could go 10. It doesn't matter, it's your preference. If you want them closer together, go less. If you want to go bigger, go higher. So in this case, I'm actually going to change that to a 10. So all we're going to do is just add, getting all my games up here. I'm just going to add another 5 to that, which makes it minus 105. So if I press Control and F, and then suite 2, because that's what we've named it, it's just finding it on that tab to make it easier. I'm just going to make that minus 0.105, and save. As you can see, that box has just got slightly bit bigger, or in between. So I'm just going to do that again. This time we're going to add it onto this box, okay? So box number 2, or suite 2 in our case, we're going to add another one just so I can go over it to you a bit more in detail and a bit easier. So we're just going to copy this, paste. But if you don't know the keyboard's controls for copy and paste, it's Control and C and Control and V. We're going to rename this suite 3. And then first thing we want to do is exactly how it was before. So in this case, our space between is going to be 10 pixels because we want that bigger space, not the smaller space personally. This is my preference. Then we're going to add the width. So again, 175 pixels. And then we're going to add it to the left position. Oh, I thought I pressed enter, but apparently I didn't. Which in our case is now 105 pixels. I have a habit of writing everything in code. So again, if we got a calculator up, we've got our 105 ready here already, so that's great. So we're going to add 10 to that, and then we're going to add 175, makes 80. So we're going to change our left, just the left, to 80. And then we go down here, I'm just going to copy paste this and just change it to 3. And click save. And now we're going to have a box right next to it. Exactly same size, exactly same shape. Now, if you want boxes underneath, So we're just going to put a box under this one, which is suite 1. This is where it gets a little bit complicated, but it's the same theory. So all we're going to be doing this time is adding to the top, not the left. So if we go to suite 1, we're going to copy suite 1. I'm now going to name it Sweet Bottom. That sounds really bad, but that's what I'm going to name it. Yeah, we'll just name it Sweet Bottom. I really can't bother to change that. So for Sweet Bottom, we're doing exactly the same thing as our principle here. So we want a space in between of 10. We've got a width, but this time, because we're going underneath, we need height. So it changes the height. So in this case, we're going to go 330 pixels. Left doesn't change. This time we're changing the top, which in our case is now 110. So we get our calculator out. We go space is 10, width is 330, or height rather, and top is 110. That means it's got to be 450 from the top. So where it says 110, we're now changing that to 150. Was 150? Yep. And then we're going to go Sweet Bottom, click Save, and there it is, right underneath. Is this making sense? I hope it's making sense, and it's a bit more straightforward than how I probably worded it last time. So again, exactly the same principle. This time, you will be adjusting the left, not the top. Because we've got the position where we want it. So we want it at the 450 because that's where we want it underneath. And this time, all we're doing is moving it across. So this time, again, I'm sorry, it's confusing. You still want your space. You don't want the height this time, you just want to move over to the right. So you're going to change the left. Sorry, it's going to be the width, and then it's going to be left. So we're going to copy this one, paste it in, name it Sweet Bottom 1 because I really don't care what you name it right now. And then what we're going to do is this time we're going to leave the top, we want to adjust the bottom. So in this case, and I'm not going to word this out because I do apologise, I just want to show you. So obviously on this side, the width in this case, okay, I'll write it out. It's going to be 175 again, and then the left is going to be 290. So we're going to go negative 290, negative, add 10, add your 175, which is going to be your 105 again. And then if we go copy in this, add your 1, click Save. Once it loads, because I'm downloading, there's your second box. I hope this makes sense. You can keep practicing this. You can make this go as long as you want. You can change it how you want. It's the same principle. I'm now going to make things a little bit more complicated, and I'm going to do this twice just so it makes it a little bit easier. I'm going to do a half box. So this is what happens when we change the size of the boxes. So we're going to use our Sweet Bottom because I like to lose that one apparently, because it's the space I've got. I'm going to copy, oh, I've got 2 Sweet Bottoms, I didn't even realise. Oh, okay, we'll delete that one. Paste it. This is going to be Sweet Bottom, and I'm just going to name it half for now because it's just easier. So to make it slightly bit smaller, obviously if we can adjust the height, so say for example we're going to name it, let's just say 100 for now. We want a smaller box. Same principle applies as I said with all the others. Oh, I'm getting confused with my boxes now. The only difference, what we're going to do here when we get to the second bit, is obviously your top and your left are going to change, essentially. I'll explain in more detail. For this bit, so exactly the same, doesn't need to change. If anything, all you do is change to the left. So in this case, it's 150, or 105, add 10, add 175, which makes it 80. Can you see the pattern here? Because my last one was 80. So if it's just underneath number 3, you can go back to number 3, change the top, and or copy it, paste it, and just change the top, and it'll be the same figure. So Sweet Bottom half, I better copy that because I'm not going to remember that div code. So when I click Save Now, we've got a tiny box. So how do I get a box underneath that? The same applies as every principle I've just gone through. It's exactly the same. Nothing has changed. We're just playing around with the codes. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to name this half 2. So in this case, what we're doing now is the space between is going to remain the same. The width is going to remain the same. It's just the height. So The height, we're now, because we need to, if you want to make it in line, we need to make it the same. So our last one was 330. So we know it's going to be around about 230, roughly. So if we say 230 on our height, that's what we want to increase it to. Left doesn't change. Top changes this time. So in this case, we want to go where bottom half is, so its top is 450. We're then going to add the height to that, if that makes sense. So we're going to add 10 to 230 to 450. So if I get my thingy out, we're just going to go whatever way you want to do it. Obviously it's only negative you need to do first in this case. Add my 230, add my 450. It's going to make 690. You can copy from your calculator, it doesn't matter. And we're going to change our top to 690. And then we're just going to copy this one. Oh, not that one. Ah, I'm getting so confused here. My coding is not getting very straightforward here. It's the principle, that's all that matters. So my half 2 is now going to go there. And then I'm going to click save. And this is where it then goes underneath. Oh, no, because I've jumped that too far apparently. Do apologise. Where did I go wrong there? Oh, because I didn't change width. I do apologise. Your height needs to change. I'm sorry. So because I didn't change my height, even though I'd gone through it in the process, I didn't do it. So you need to change your height to 230 as well as the left. So remember that. You need to change the top and the height. Sorry, top and height. And then when you click save, I've done it wrong again. This is why I shouldn't do stuff like this. I don't know why that's worked out wrong. Oh, sorry, because I had a 230. I'm sorry. I got confused there. So we want to add 100 to 10. So this one's actually going to be 100. Then it's going to be your 450. Which makes it 50. Yes, 560. I hope so. If not, I've just confused you all and I do apologise. No, there we go. So it's roughly there. My height is a little bit off, but that's fine. You can tweak that. So I hope that made a bit makes sense now. So sorry. If it's like you're cutting it in half, you're going to add to the top and the height. So in this case, our height was let me go back to that. Our height was 100, top was 450, then add your space in between, which in this case we use 10 pixels. That's what's going to give you your top, and then you need to change the height so it's matching roughly the same. In this case 230 was too much. Because I use 10 pixels, we can probably go down to 220 and then click save, and there you go. I hope this makes sense. If anyone does want any more detailed explanations or in text form, then do let me know, because I can write it out if it's more simpler than me obviously explaining it to you. But yeah, you can play around with this code, just keep trying. If you've got any problems, then please do let me know in the comments. Do let me know on Discord. My Discord link is in the description as well as my template codes and the codes for this. I'm not around as frequently at the moment because of my hiatus, because I'm on medical leave, because of medical issues. But I am coming back slowly, so if it is urgent, just press the @ on Discord and my name, which is in this case Make a Wish, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you all for watching, and if you like this, then please let me know in the comments or subscribe. When we get to 100 subscribers, I can change my URL. I shouldn't have deleted my old YouTube account, but never mind. Yes, once we do that, I can be Sweetener Resources or X Sweetener, whatever, and that makes it a little bit easier for people to find me. If you want any more tutorials, or you want something me to cover, then again, put it in the comments below, put it in my Discord server. I'm more than happy to go through things with people, and I will perhaps starting to do like lessons with people if time zones work. It does just depend on a few things, but I'll do what I can. If not, I'll do it as a live video on YouTube, and that way you can watch it back if people have missed it. But I hope this helps, and I hope I haven't confused you too much. Just keep practicing and you will get it. Thank you very much for watching.